Back by popular demand, Beep Boop is ready to take a vacation in nuka-world and strut her stuff down Nuka Street, USA. Will she be able to take on the hordes of raiders there? Will she be able to fight off the locals in each of the park's main areas? Well, today we'll be finding out if you can beat Fallout 4's nuka-world DLC as the Mechanist. Guys, the support the channel has been getting is absolutely insane, and I can't thank you enough. All your comments, suggestions, and tips are making these videos super fun to make, and I want to let you know that I appreciate all of you. So without further ado, let's get into the run. So to start the DLC for nuka-world, I had to go chat with some gunners blocking the way, and Beep Boop did not hesitate to show why she's the main character and I'm just the mouthpiece. Once the guards were cleared, I met with Harvey, who gave me the deets on how to power the monorail, and soon I was on my way to the happiest place on Earth. If you're a raider, I mean. If you're a normal person, then you'd never want to go here. Now officially in the nuka-world DLC, it was time to show you guys how much I read the comments. I unchained a door using the most precise of keystrokes, but then ran the gauntlet anyway because I needed to kill Coulter to progress the questline. We made it to Coulter, and I read that if you take out a fusion core before this fight, you can deal damage without the thirst zapper. But whether it's true or not, I will never know. Armed with my squirt gun filled with the tears of everyone who watched Edge Runners, I started the fight only to learn that Beep Boop won't attack Coulter until I squirt him. So even though I was being shot at for a good while, until he was moistened, she wouldn't do anything. Now, whether you count this as a fail is up to you, but I won't because I'm not dealing damage, and plus, who knows, maybe the Mechanist had a wild nightlife and has one of these stashed away somewhere. So with Coulter saturated, Beep Boop did the heavy lifting and erased him from this playthrough. I still get blown away by how much damage she does sometimes. For those of you who don't know, this fight was a setup. By killing Coulter, I would take his place as the new Overboss of nuka-world, and this means I'd be in charge of the 3 gangs here. So with so many of my new friends overlooking my fight, I decided to cool them off in case they got a little riled up by my performance. Only to aggro every single one of them. I don't think I've ever seen this many red marks on the minimap before. What came next was Gage telling me to meet him in my new house, and then Beep Boop went on a bender and showed these gangs what happens when you don't eat your energy weapon resistance breakfast every morning. But this didn't stop once we cleared out the arena. We were still being attacked just by being in nuka-world. Not even 20 minutes into the run and we were already wanted fugitives by everyone. Eventually, after unaliving enough people, we met back up with Gage, who said I'd have to go introduce myself to the 3 different groups of raiders and show them that I meant business. And surprisingly, I wasn't attacked on sight. I met with the operators, who just seemed like these kids who played army a little bit too much. Then I met with the disciples, who just wanted to kill things and cause mayhem. And the pack, who were one bad day away from going full furry. Now, with the meet and greet sorted, I was then tasked at recovering the hostile locations of nuka-world and splitting it up between these factions. First was clearing out the Galactic zone, an entire area dedicated to being a sci-fi enthusiast's wet dream. It had all sorts of stuff. Killer robots, a vault simulation, killer robots, a quest that asked me to collect star cores for a suit of power armor, killer robots, an underground roller coaster, and, oh yeah, did I mention killer robots? I make it sound a lot worse than it was, but the real kicker was I couldn't leave until either all of the robots in every crack of the park were destroyed, or until I got 20 star cores to refresh a system. Finding the star cores wasn't that bad either. They were scattered around all sorts of places that you'd have to go anyway if you were going to do some robot extermination. Plus, I got to actually search through areas that I normally would have just ran past. All in all, the fights with machine-on-machine action were pretty dope, and I even scored some new upgrades for Beep Boop. I consider this a win-win. Once I claimed the area, I gave the outpost to the operators, as I think I unalived enough of their people that them getting first dibs at new territory only made sense. Now I was off to Dry Rock Gulch, a western-themed part of the park with a bloodworm problem, but a problem that Beep Boop had no trouble dealing with. I met up with the sheriff and he began to give me the rundown. However, a prompt for the robotic experts perk came up, and using it not only skipped the silly getup of being a sheriff, but it got straight to the point of what I was to do. To clear out the bloodworms, I would have to do 3 tasks and get a code to find the cause of the swarm. And if you thought the robotics expert perk only worked on the sheriff, you'd be very wrong. I was able to reprogram all of the robots and gain the code with minor effort. All hail the Mechanist! With the code in hand, we headed into another roller coaster, and I got to watch Beep Boop do what she does best. With the bloodworms dealt with, I gave this area to the disciples and then headed off towards the Safari adventure, and I was immediately greeted by a gator claw fighting some naked guy. After sending the gator claw on a permanent retirement from life, I asked the naked dude if he was okay. Turns out he lives here with his family of gorillas, but not synthetic gorillas, like actual gorillas. This may not seem like a big deal, but considering the gorillas in the Institute are fake, this guy has probably the last real gorillas in existence. What a legend. After talking with Cito, being the naked guy, I learned that the Gator Claw were actually a sin against humanity in the form of Nina Tucker's father playing real-life Lego with different species. So of course we all had to say hello and goodbye the old-fashioned way. This took some time as we had to find an access code into a cloning facility to turn it off, and I then had to hunt down every last Gator Claw to ensure they wouldn't reproduce. With the Safari adventure sorted, I gave the area to the pack because animal cosplayers and a safari just made sense to me. Next up was the Nuka-Cola bottling plant. From first glance, this was a slow water ride that took you through the creation of Nuka-Cola, but secretly it was a place where Mirelurks congregated to get freaky. Even though Beep Boop was outfitted with the best Mirelurk repelling weapons, even she struggled here. The Mirelurks were tough to put down, and there were a lot, especially outside. Our fearless heroine finally got the shivers and made a run for it. To make matters worse, since the Mirelurks could smell the oil in the water, they chased her down and smacked her around. For once, Beep Boop was the one being bullied. It got so bad that I ran out of repair kits and had to rely on some pack members for help. But even they couldn't stand up to the Mirelurks, and slowly they were picked off one by one. This one quest was turning into a horror movie at this point. I did eventually lose the Mirelurks to get Beep Boop back up, but then a Nuka-Cola Mirelurk queen showed up to ruin the day. What came next was a lot of running away, but in the end we got the last laugh and could hand this area off to the operators. The final area that needed clearing out was the Kiddie Kingdom, and honestly, fuck this place. Between the insane amount of radiation I was taking and the fact that Beep Boop and I got separated most of the time, I was being chased around by a pack of ghouls trying not only to survive, but also figure out where the hell I was supposed to be going. Essentially, this place was kind of like a carnival with halls of mirrors and optical illusions to get you lost. But again, trying to do this while being punched in the head by a crackhead determined to eat your thighs for breakfast was just too much. Eventually, I found the guy running this place. He was a special ghoul named Oswald whose superpower was to be annoying. I tried to fight him, but Beep Boop got stuck outside, which meant I had to reload. On the second attempt, I shot him with my squirt gun and watched Beep Boop turn him into Swiss cheese. But since homie had plot armor, he substitution jutsu'd away, causing me to track him down once again. I ran through the park and tracked him down to a rooftop showdown, but when given the option to tell him to jump off a bridge, the way the talk option was worded was siding with him and letting him leave alive. But I did get a sword and a top hat out of the deal, and I guess the disciples can have this place because I never plan on coming back here again. So now with all of nuka-world sorted, I met up with Gage, who gave me an awkward pat on the back and then told me we had to expand our grasp into the Commonwealth. So I was sent to talk with Shank, and turns out these guys were secretly the Minutemen, just in reverse. Instead of helping settlers, I'd be killing them and allowing my gangs to take over instead. I bet you anything Preston Garvey is pissed at me right about now. So before beginning my takeover of the Commonwealth again, I went to upgrade Beep Boop, and turns out Preston was pissed at me. He charged head first into us with a flamer, but no one else was aggroed. I told you he was the secret enemy of the whole game. So with the upgrades attached, we went and conquered our settlement, and now we had to go convincing people to give us their stuff to not get evicted from life. I also found out that Harvey lied to me, so every time I saw him, someone shot him. Ransacking settlements and extorting them took about 30 minutes before I was finally given the last quest of the nuka-world DLC. Turns out Mason and the pack were butthurt because I didn't play with them enough. So they had caused a commotion and now were holed up in the power station that supplied all of nuka-world. So to knock out 2 birds with 1 stone, I would go there with the disciples and operators, take out Mason, and then turn the power back on for a pack-a-punch. The assault wasn't anything special, just a bunch of people too poor for fursuits. And honestly, I'm not surprised. When you're talking a couple $1,000s for a suit, that's dedication on a whole new level. Eventually, we made it to the roof for a standoff with Mason, and no one could kill him. Mags downed him once, Beep Boop and the disciple leader downed him again, so on a 3rd down, I punched him, finally sending him to a permanent sleepy time. And with that, I turned the power back on for nuka-world and ended the DLC as the Mechanist. However, I failed the challenge, as you cannot complete the DLC with only your companion doing damage, as the last hit has to be by you. Beep Boop once again has shown that she is and will forever be the greatest companion to ever be created, and we even got to see some character development and learned of her fear of Mirelurks. This run was a blast, and I cannot wait for a Far Harbor run in the future. Who knows what trouble we'll get into there. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing, as it helps the channel out a ton. Plus, if you have a suggestion for a run you'd like to see, let me know in the comments below. I play all sorts of games, so no challenges off the table. I want to thank all of you that watched to this point, and as always, I have been Chris from Crisis Gaming, and I will see you on the next one.